This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio.
In a world where jobs are how most people make money, one man, one desire, one challenge dares to break the mold. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where we don't work for money. Money works for us. Coming soon. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manacero.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network. I'm your host, Bill Manacero, and this is a show where 50-plussers and anyone else who wants to join us get solid, no sales pitch real estate investing advice to help generate real cash flow. This podcast airs twice weekly on Mondays and Fridays, and if you aren't already a subscriber, go to iTunes, type in Old Dog, spelled D-A-W-G, find our podcast and subscribe. Well, we have a great show for you today. This is a gentleman who actually lives in and grew up in the same neighborhood I did in the San Fernando Valley in California. And so I'm looking forward to hearing that and, just being a couple of Valley dudes hanging out. But let me give you a little bit about his background. His name is Rennie Gabriel. And throughout his career, he has been a certified financial planner, a chartered life underwriter, and book publisher with over 80 titles published and in distribution on consumer education and real estate and finance. His publishing company, or the URL, is GabrielBooks.com. Since 1996, he has taught an extension course at UCLA based on his book, Wealth on Any Income. Locally, he owns and manages several apartment buildings, I believe in the Southern California area, through various corporations and limited partnerships. His extensive knowledge on real estate and finance is useful to not only those who own or invest in real estate, but to anyone striving for a better life by trying to achieve financial freedom. Well, Rennie, welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network.
Oh, thank you, Bill. This is going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
I am so looking forward to this. I mean, not only are you a fellow Valley dude, but you're also a fellow old dog here. Even though you sound like you're just a youngster, you were one of those that started later in real estate, such as myself. So I am just totally stoked to hear your story. And why don't you just tell us, where'd you come from? What's your story? How did you end up in this crazy real estate sphere here?
Well, there were some fortuitous things. There was some luck along the way, and there were some catastrophes. But the advantage is that at age 50, after 2 divorces, a failure in the art gallery business, and I'm flat broke, I met my third wife at age 50, and I was starting over from scratch at that point. But the advantage was my wife understood real estate because she was a real estate agent. She bought and sold residential houses, and she also had a real estate partner who happened to be her ex-husband, who also understood real estate. And so when I showed up, they had a couple of rental houses, and I had like $10,000 equity in the house after refinancing it to pay off the last divorce. I didn't have any cash, but I knew that, how do I phrase it? I realized I'm 50 years of age. I don't have, the expression is, a pot to urinate in. And if I'm going to have any kind of decent retirement, if that's what happens at age 65, I've got to get into gear. And so I had suggested to them that instead of in the future buying single family houses, let's buy apartment buildings, because I know that's going to work well. My mom had a little fourplex in the city in Los Angeles, and that allowed her to have a wonderful retirement. And I thought, okay, she told me at age 8 that, you should buy residential real estate. You should buy an apartment building because the tenants are actually the ones who buy it for you. And at age 8, that stuck with me my whole life. And at age 50, I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to have to do.
You had also gone through some sort of financial difficulties too in that process, right? Or prior to that?
Oh, yeah. There was, in the art gallery business, I'd gone broke and rebuilt, got a job selling pension plans, profit sharing plans and stuff. And, so I had the salaried income. I was in my 30s at that time. And it was primarily the divorces that wiped me out. The art gallery failure was hurt as well. But yeah, so, I got to age 50 and I had pretty much nothing to look at that was going to support me if I had any retirement, unless I got into gear.
And so you really only had that 10,000 equity in your home to kind of get started. Is that right? Yeah,
I might have been able to put my hands on $1 to $2 or $3,000 cash, but primarily what I started doing is something that's 5,000 years old, and it's the concept called "Pay Yourself First," from the book "The Richest Man in Babylon" by George Clausen.
Right.
And I was earning $5,000 a month. That's what I was earning. I was doing business coaching for financial planning and accounting firms because I knew that market, and setting aside $500 a month. So I was putting it away in individual stocks from the Dow Jones 30, and over about a 3-year period, I had $18,000. I mean, this was the most money I think I'd ever had, and I'm like 52, 53 years of age.
Wow. And you're starting off investing in Southern California, which is not the cheapest real estate in the world. I mean, that's for sure.
No. I've got an expression that wealth is a team sport, not a solo sport, or wealth creation. And so my wife's ex-husband, real estate partner, found a little triplex, and he said, I think we should buy this. He, took my advice and said we should buy apartment buildings, and I had nothing. But he found this triplex, and the down payment would be $72,000. Well, I only have 18, so obviously I'm not doing that by myself. So my wife chipped in 18,000. He came up with 32,000 or 36, and we bought the building.
And you financed it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
That was our down payment.
I got it.
The building was like 300-something thousand for the triplex, or about 100,000 a door.
Now, did you do much on the numbers, like sitting down and looking at, were the rents about market? Could you increase the rents? Or did you think, just buying it straight off, you were going to get enough cash flow to make a difference there?
Well, in Los Angeles, for those older buildings, we had what's called rent control, which meant if the tenants stayed, we could only raise their rent 3%. But if someone vacated, we could clean it up, paint it, remodel it, whatever, and then bring the rents up to market. And we were lucky enough that when we bought it, one of the units was empty, so we cleaned that up and rented that at market. And then we Another tenant moved out, a third tenant moved out over time, and we were able to bring all the rents up to market. And after and I could see that this was working. Now I had, how do I phrase it, a very mentally simplistic approach. Again, looking toward my retirement, thinking that when we paid off the building, we had a 30-year loan because it was 4 or fewer units. It was a triplex. That for each unit we owned and paid off, and let's say the rents were $1,000 a month, that means for every unit I'd have $1,000 a month income, or the three of us would. And that was my simplistic approach. So the more units we had, the more $1,000 a month income I could see.
Now, were you accelerating your payoff? I mean, normally, your loans are your 30-year loans. Did you have? Were you applying more than just the mortgage amount to try to pay them off a little faster?
No, we couldn't do that because if we had a plumbing bill, it wiped out all our profit.
Gotcha.
But what I was realizing during that time was properties were increasing in value because we have a supply and demand problem in Los Angeles. And what I did is I went out and borrowed more money so that we could all make down payments on more apartment buildings that my wife's partner found. And during that 6 years, that little triplex grew from a $300,000 value, or $330,000, whatever it was when we purchased it. We sold it for about $825,000.
Wow, unbelievable!
Yeah, so we used that 1031 exchange, and we had, let's say, there was over a $500,000 profit. We rolled that into a 15-unit building in Burbank.
Now, where'd you buy the first one, the triplex?
It was near Toluca Lake.
Okay, so it's not too far from Burbank. Yeah.
No,
also,
no,
yeah.
It was another like 6-7 miles farther is all.
And how did you decide on that particular area, or was there any primary motivation, or were you looking like valley-wide, or were you looking all over Southern Cal?
Yeah, we were looking anywhere, and it so happens we found it on LoopNet. It was like the needle in a haystack. I eventually discovered how LoopNet works. It's a marketing forum for brokers. Most of the properties they have on there are not available, but it shows who's got multi-unit properties for sale.
Exactly. Right.
And so, to find something on LoopNet is like a fool's errand. But we found this needle in a haystack in Burbank, and it was 15 units. We saw it on a Friday. My wife and I went out and saw it, said, "Oh, we love this." It was like a kitschiest little thing built in the 50s by a music teacher who physically built the buildings on the property.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, never heard from the broker. We called all weekend, multiple times. And on Monday morning, he calls back and says, "Oh yeah, I got an offer on it already and the inspection's today. And if you want to come by and see it, you can do that." Okay. Showed up that Monday, and the person who put in the offer on the Friday didn't show up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think he was scared off because some of the units were not permitted. And I thought, well, I don't care. We love this building. We'll spend the money and we'll rehab it, which is what we did. I would say that was one of our biggest successes because we bought the building for like $1.1 million. We rolled the $500,000 profit into it. We spent another $250,000 in remodeling it, but we took the rents from $6,800 a month when we bought it to $16,000 a month. So
wow, how long did that take to go from 68 to 16?
18 months.
Wow.
And yeah, with the construction and everything else, but hey, in 24 months, everything we invested, all the extra money we spent, was returned to us.
That's amazing. Wow. Now, what years were start maybe with your triplex? Do you remember what year?
That would have been about 2007, I think we bought it.
Oh, so right at the
just before the peak of the market.
Right.
And so, the market's collapsing, but we bought something with such low rents and we were adding value to it. We were doing terrific. I guess that's the thing with apartment buildings. Pardon my language, but I don't give a rat's patootie. What's happening with the values, because we're not over leveraged, and the rental income is not changing. It's a big deal. So if the building loses 10, 20, 30, 40% in value, if we're not selling it, it's irrelevant as long as the rents are good and we're not over leveraged. And we weren't.
Because you were buying for cash flow, right?
Exactly. And we like I said, we put $500,000 down on a 1.1 sale. So, that's it's like 40-something%. By the way, I failed high school math. So my numbers are only going to be approximations, okay?
That's all right. Hey, you're showing that real estate is for everybody, right? Not just the rocket scientists out there, right?
Oh gosh, no. I literally failed high school math, but the teacher gave me a D because he knew how hard I was trying. I did all the homework, I took all the tests, didn't pass a one of them. And he knew how hard I was trying, so he gave me a D.
Hey, that's that's passing, right?
Yeah. But in reality, I failed every exam, so I didn't pass high school math.
Right. So you got this 15 unit here, and now are you generating enough at this point where you've reached financial independence, or did you have to acquire more buildings?
We acquired more buildings. During the time of this triplex turning around, I could see it was working. So borrowed more money. By the time we were in our 8th year of doing this, we had 50 units that we owned and managed. They were cash flowing at that point. The plumbing bills weren't wiping us out anymore. And, had a multi-million-dollar net worth. And now I look down the road and we have, I don't have to work anymore. I do it because I don't know what else I would do. But I'm trying to figure out if I could come up with what an income figure was. I don't think I can. I can tell you the properties that we have now, and we bought out the other partner. We're down to like 27 units that we have, and I know we're generating about $40,000 a month of income, and profit from that is probably around 20 or so. The point is there's more money coming in than we need to live on, and that's why I don't know what it is. It's more money than we need. More money goes into savings. In December last year, we donated $50,000 to charity.
Awesome.
And so it's like I feel pathetic. Here I am. I still kept the certified financial planner designation. I help people with their financial planning, and I can't even tell you what my income is.
I love it. Well, this is a neat story. For one, you started in your 50s. Now, granted, your wife had the real estate experience. You had virtually, no experience other than maybe owning your own homes or what have you, right?
Prior to I just realized in the 1980s, I took a class at UCLA taught by a school teacher on how to manage apartment buildings.
You're kidding. No, you didn't have any apartment building. You just took it for fun?
Yeah. So, my mom said this is a good thing, so I figured I should learn about it. But let's see. So we're talking about it was like mid-'80s, so 84, 94, 2000. So it was 20 years later that I pulled out the binder from that class and started to apply it.
Unbelievable. Wow. Okay, that is such a great story. So you basically have acquired at one point more than you currently own, but the numbers of units, especially when you're talking, Southern California, is very different. I mean, you probably would generate more with 27 units here than you would with, 200 units in the Midwest in certain places.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so it's not really comparing apples to apples, but the I would imagine a lot of this too for you. I mean, was a lot of learning involved, right? I mean, that you kind of learn as you went along, right?
Boy, is there a big gap between school learning and the real world. I mean, I had this binder from 20 years ago with forms that were completely outdated, concepts. But boy, when it comes to actually dealing with the tenants, applying the stuff, dealing with the city, it's just a different world than what you learn in school.
So what would you say, looking back over here now? And this has been, you've been doing this for about 20 years or pretty close? About 20 years. What do you think that really stands out as sort of your biggest mistake in this whole process? I know that's...
The biggest mistake is violating our own policies in how we vet tenants.
Okay.
And we had we would run credit reports. We would meet with the people. We would confirm previous landlord stuff. And we had policies in place. And in one of the cases where we didn't follow our policies, I rented it to an attorney who was the partner in a boutique law firm. And what he did is he had his mistress in the apartment. He moved his mistress into this apartment. And the second rent check came. When you get those things from the bank where you can write a check and it goes against your credit card, I'm not sure what they're called.
Right.
He used one of those to pay the second month's rent, which takes 11 days to clear the bank. And it was sort of like, this isn't good. And by the third month, the rent didn't come in at all. And then his mistress is saying she's got fleas in the apartment, and what are we going to do about it? And I'm saying, what are we going to do about the fleas? You got a 3-day notice. You're being evicted.
You can leave the fleas behind. You don't have to worry about it.
And she had candles burning, set drapes on fire the apartment. I mean, it's like,
this sounds like a soap opera. I mean,
it was amazing. So anyway, I start the eviction process, and this attorney hires a bozo to defend him in court, who doesn't even show up. So then the bottom line is, 2 days before the second court appearance where he'd be evicted, he just moves everything out. Okay? But there's damage beyond the security deposit, so I sue him in small claims court. And 2 days before small claims hearing, where he knows he'd lose, he writes out a check for what he owes. And so the guy's credit looks pristine because 2 days before the eviction, he moves out, so that's canceled. 2 days before the small claims hearing, he writes me a check, so that doesn't show. So this attorney's got a clean credit report, but he's garbage.
Did you actually end up covering the costs of the damage that was?
I think we were out like $500 in total.
Right. Wow.
The cost because my sister-in-law is a landlord-tenant attorney, which is kind of cool.
That's
it was
great.
$500 for the filing fees.
Wow. Yeah, I think you had me at when you said you rented to an attorney. That was pretty much a red flag for me.
I love to tell attorneys, you know what? You are not a protected class. I am allowed to discriminate against you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of a red flag for me. That's a great example of how you kind of went against sort of the criteria that you previously established, and that's really, really key. Any other mistakes that you thought might be something that people should be aware of and not not go in that direction?
It's really that when you set up policies or procedures that are designed to protect yourself, you do not violate them. You follow them every single time. And I avoided a huge bullet when, one tenant was applying and it was with her daughter, and she was talking about how horrible her previous landlord was. And that's why she was living in a week-to-week motel and, so on and so forth. And when I called her previous landlord, the first thing he said to me is, "How did you get my name?" I said, "Well, the person who wants to rent put your name down on the application." He goes, "She did?" Oh my God, this was the worst tenant I ever had. Let me tell you what was wrong. So while she seemed so nice and, her and her daughter were so lovely, she would have been the biggest nightmare in the world.
Wow. And she put down the landlord's name.
And she put down the previous landlord's name, and I followed up with whoever she said she'd been renting with.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Wow. Well, conversely, what would you say was your biggest success? What did you do right that something that you'd like to share with our audience?
That was not giving up and just let's see, as an example, the building we picked up in Burbank, I'd say that's our biggest success in terms of adding value, buying something that was mismanaged and had deferred maintenance and just completely turning it around. Oh, and using owner financing.
Oh, that's nice. When you bought it initially.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the units that, a couple of the units he didn't have permitted, he couldn't get, or we didn't even bother applying for a bank loan. I just showed him that he should sell it to us because, here are the properties we have the experience, so on and so forth. And that was just a wonderful situation. We didn't have to go through all the hoops and hurdles and that the banks set up in qualifying for a loan. And we have had it with him for 11 years now. When interest rates dropped, I went back to him and said, interest rates are lower. I'm thinking of going to a bank now. Are you willing to reduce your interest rate? And he did.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I've never heard anybody that's done that before. That is so. A lot of people will do this sort of owner financing for a short term and then they'll refinance. But that's very interesting. I've never heard of that happening. That's great.
We had a 10-year loan with him, and then when the 10-year period hit, I said, "Would you like us to renew it? Do you want to go another 10 years?" He said, "Oh, absolutely. You've been so great." I mean, the bottom line is we pay our vendors on time. We make our mortgage payments on time. The plumber is paid the day after he does the work. The painter is paid the day I receive his invoice. And that means our vendors are loyal to us. I mean, if there's anything we need, they take care of us. And so it's the same thing with the owner who was carrying back the paper. He said, I'd love to. Yeah, we'll go another 10 years. But, again, interest rates had dropped. And I said, it's a lower interest rate. I mean, what would you like? I said, well, would you be willing to make the same payment with the lower interest rate and have that apply to the principal? Because we were almost paying interest only before. And I said, sure. And now I'm thinking of adding even more money to it. And literally in the next 6-7 years, the building's going to be paid off.
Wow. God, that's ideal. What a great, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we've got so much cash flow. Why not just pay them off?
That is excellent. Wow. I love it. A lot of our audience, as you know, we are focused on those that are 50 years of age and older. And so some of those folks are still working, but they're sort of approaching their retirement, and they're looking at hey, am I going to have the funds that I need through the rest of my life here when I retire? And there are those that are concerned and they're looking at other ways to sort of supplement their retirement. And then you have those that are already retired that are listening, that are looking at ways to sort of fill in the gaps too, that maybe either want to create something that they can hand down to their kids, or maybe be able to have the cash flow that they can do things in retirement that they dreamt of doing when they were looking ahead at retirement. So for those folks, what advice would you have for them? Okay, they're starting later. We don't have sort of the longer time frame that younger people would. What advice would you have for somebody a good way to get started out?
That gets back to the expression I use that wealth creation is a team sport, not a solo sport. And you don't have to do this by yourself. My wife was in real estate. She had a real estate partner, and so it was really the three of us that made a difference. He found the properties, I managed the properties. My wife, we kept her out of it.
So you're working with the ex-husband, huh?
Well, yeah. It was sort of like, her ex-husband and I would work on the property, and then she'd come along when we were nearly finished and say, "Oh, you should paint that door red." And we'd say, "Okay, honey." She'd go away. We didn't do it. And by that time, we'd sell the property. Said, "Wasn't that door supposed to be red?"
Oh, that's bad.
But the point is, someone in their retirement age, approaching retirement, this is the greatest supplement to a retirement income I can see. And the reason for it is, if you look at, now I'm a certified financial planner, okay? So I'm looking at, there's stocks, there's bonds, there's insurance, there's annuities, there's all these products that are sold to retirement people to have a decent income in their golden years. Well, guess what? If you buy an annuity, you cannot outlive that income, but it does not grow. And when you buy a piece of rental property, the rents increase. You have a growing income. So as inflation increases, your income is increasing. I'd rather not outlive a growing income than a static one.
That is great advice right there. That's got to be tough for you. I don't know if you're still actively doing was there a certain point where you were saying to people, "Hey, forget these mutual funds here. You need to buy real estate"?
Yeah, and it was at the time I said, "This is what's working for me." I gave up the securities license. I gave up the insurance. I gave up all that stuff. One of the reasons was they have what are called compliance meetings, where you have to go and show that you don't have other business interests. And here I was writing a book. I was doing business coaching on the side to accounting and financial planning firms. And they're saying, "Oh, you're violating you can't do that stuff with your securities license." I said, "Fine, then here, I'm giving up the license. I don't care. I don't need it. I'm not using it. The heck with it." And yeah, that's the approach I took. You know what? I'm not interested in selling these products. That's not what's going to do it for people. I'm going to show them what really works. And I gave all that garbage up.
Love it. Well, speaking of, your business, you're doing a lot of things. I mean, you're a publisher. You have you want to talk a little bit about your educational coaching. You've got your obviously your properties that you're managing. I don't know how many other things may be involved in there, but
there's a few more.
Yeah.
ADD, I don't know.
Well, tell me what are what's going on with your current business, and sort of what's your goal in the future for your businesses?
I'd say the one of the current businesses is my website, which is wealthonanyincome.com, where people can get a bunch of free resources on how to build a business, how to take care of their money. I've got a free 3-page summary of my award-winning best-selling book, and 100% of the profits from any wealth coaching I do is donated to charity. So what I'm doing at this point in life is becoming a philanthropist. That's what my wife and I care about. We're donating a lot of money to various animal causes and
tell us about the one that you have listed. That I think our listeners should hear about. That's a real
that's my favorite. I try not to think about it when I talk about it, because then I start choking up and I can't talk. But this is a charity that rescues dogs from high-kill environments. And if the dogs have the right temperament, they're the right size, they're trained as service animals for soldiers who've come back with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injuries. And I look at it that dogs have a purpose in life, and they're euthanized by the thousands. Our veterans are putting their life on the line to allow us the freedoms that we have here, and they come back, and the Veterans Administration doesn't treat them in the ways that allow them to be contributing members of society again when they have traumatic brain injuries or various issues. And this charity, I mean, our veterans are committing suicide at the rate of almost one an hour.
Oh, gee.
And as far as I've been able to research, not one veteran who's received a service dog has committed suicide. So this organization is saving 2 lives at a time. And I've seen how some of these people who have gone from not even being able to leave their house or stutter so badly they can't communicate with their own family are able to speak in public and move people to tears. And, you know, these are dogs that can save people's lives. These are human beings that can contribute back to society, and they put their lives on the line. And so I just donate 100% of the profits from my wealth coaching business to this charity.
God, what's the name of the charity?
It's called Shelter to Soldier.
I love it. I love it.
The website is sheltertosoldier.org. And if anyone cares about animals or human beings, and you go on the website, have tissues handy.
Wow.
I still can't watch the videos on the website without crying.
Man, oh man. Wow. Well, that's really neat. That is really, really neat that you're doing that, and you've got, you know, all these activities going on, and all that the funds are going to a great cause. So, wow. Good for you, man. That's really, I mean, I think that to me, that's an important part of, you know, when we reach that point, right? It's, you know, giving back and being able to make a difference in this world. So neat.
Yeah.
Really love it.
Thank you. And I got to tell you one of my favorite quotes. I coach people really to create wealth. And the point being, I want more people to be philanthropic. And a lot of people that I've worked with in the past have a concern that people who have a lot of money are bad, evil, disgusting, which is the picture Hollywood paints. Hollywood paints a picture that the poor are the noble, wonderful people, and the wealthy people are disgusting. I mean, you look at Titanic, you look at Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you look at Bonnie and Clyde. Hollywood paints the picture that the poor are good and rich are evil. But if you compare the Forbes list of the wealthiest people and Forbes list of the biggest philanthropists, the same people are on both lists.
Yeah, it's true.
And Warren Buffett has this quote that just makes it so clear. He says, "Of the billionaires I have known, money just brings out the basic traits in them. if they were jerks before they had money, they're simply jerks with $1 billion.
That's great quote.
Yeah, when good people become wealthy, they're still good people.
Like that. That's great. That's great.
So I just love that quote because I'm working with people. A lot of them are coaches, authors, healers, and spiritual people, and they feel, money is bad or evil because of the picture Hollywood painted or something they got from their parents. And, these are the emotional things that I got to get out of the way.
Yeah, I love it. Wow. Well, we're kind of zooming ahead here, and God, there's a lot of other stuff I'd love to talk about with you. But we have to start wrapping it up here, and we have a sort of a series of quick questions that we ask you, and where you share resources that our audience can use. If you are ready, we can go ahead and do our wrap it up.
Sure. Yep. Go for it, Bill.
All right. Favorite real estate book?
That would probably be, Robert Allen's No Money Down, because what I learned from that is it means the individual reading the book who has no money doesn't have the down payment. He finds other people with the money to make the down payment. That's the team approach again.
I love it. Well, you showed that worked in your own, right? I mean, you got the seller financing going there. That's
But it said,
awesome.
You can buy real estate, no money down. It's true. The individual is not using their own money because they don't have it. They're using someone else's.
I love it. Yeah, that's a classic. That's been around for a while. I love that.
Oh, I read it. Yeah, a long time ago.
How about your just favorite general business book?
I think this is a general business book. It would be Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, that's I would say a lot. That's a one that a lot of our investors have cited as a favorite business book.
Yeah. I read that in my 20s.
Wow.
And that altered my thinking about what could be done. Another one would have probably been by Barbara Sher, S-H-E-R, called Wishcraft. That's W-I-S-H-C-R-A-F-T.
Oh, neat.
And it deals with the same idea of how do you finding out what it is you really want, not what you think you want, and how to have other people support you in getting it.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that goes back to what you're saying. This was that team approach. That real estate's not a solo sport.
Exactly.
I like that. How about your most valuable website for success? Of course, other than your own.
Yeah, other than my own wealth and income. Yeah. Let's see. God, there's so many websites I check out. The Motley Fool has a bunch of great stuff. Probably it would be bankrate.com because I go there all the time.
Oh, Bankrate, right? Yeah, that's a great system. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I use it all the time to do calculations to see, pay down rates and what the monthly payment would be on certain size mortgages. I use that one a lot.
Just out of curiosity, I know I shouldn't be doing this in the middle of the wrap it up session, but on that note, do you rapidly pay down, your 30-year mortgages?
No, there's no point to it. There's no point in building up equity in real estate because it's not liquid. The extra funds you can use that to go out and buy another building.
Yeah, and you've got, of course, the tax advantages still. Yeah, as long as you've got that mortgage. Yeah, that's great. All right. Favorite app?
It's a toss-up between Venmo, PayPal, or Uber or Lyft. So it'd be those four.
Those are great. Those are some of my favorite. I like the ones that beep when or go ding when money arrives. Those are fun.
I love it. I have tenants who pay me through Venmo and through Chase, Zelle, QuickPay, whatever that is.
Right.
And PayPal I use like when I'm selling my book or something. So those are my favorite apps. And
Great.
if I'm, dropping off my car for service, auto dealers don't take people home anymore with their own vehicles. They use Uber or Lyft.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, that's talk about a whole industry that's transformed. Man, huge. Okay, how about favorite quote?
Oh, okay. Well, that would be Warren Buffett's. That, the billionaires he's known, the money just brings out the basic traits in them. That applies in so many areas.
Yeah, that's a really good quote. Okay, and here's our sort of our biggie here is, if you lost everything that you have right now and all you had was $1,000 in cash, knowing what you know now, what would you do to sort of relaunch your real estate investing business?
I would probably go to some network meetings and meet other people who have money, and because if I know what to do in investing in real estate, I don't need any money, because that's where you use other people's money. And I would, there's the, situation where people flip houses, which I was never into. Mm-hmm. But the person who finds the house and does the work and puts in the sweat equity gets half the profits. And the person who has the money doesn't have to do anything but put up the money and gets half the profits. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
So if I only had $1,000, I'd just find other people who had money and go out and help them buy real estate, and we both become wealthy.
Yeah, it's kind of like that landlord you had on the 15 unit, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't have to deal with the toilets, tenants, and trash, and he just got his little monthly check from you as cash flow continued.
Exactly. So. And if we defaulted, he'd take the building away from us.
Exactly. So yeah, there's some good collateral there. That's great. Wow. Well, Rennie, this has been a great interview. Really, a lot of good information here. I'm sure there's folks that are listening that might want to research, find out more about some of these resources you've talked about, your website and so forth, and how to reach you. So what's sort of the best way people can find out about you and what you do, as well as get a hold of you?
Easiest thing is they could find out whatever they want to know by typing my name into Google or going to wealthonanyincome.com, and they could send an email to me if they want, and it's Rennie, RENNIE, at wealthonanyincome.com. Great.
Rennie, this has been a blast, man. What a neat adventure you've had, and sort of the later season in life, but how you've taken it and really turned it into just something that's awesome, and it looks like a great legacy as well. I'm sure that you can hand down or whatever you choose to do, donate it or whatever. But and it's still going up in value, right? You've got this great these assets that are just they're always going to go up. I mean, we may have our lulls in the economy, but that overall they always go up. Real estate is just continuing to increase in value. So definitely you've done well, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, and I am very blessed, and believe me, I'm very conscious of it.
That's great. Well, we have a tradition here at the Old Dogs REI Network where our guests always close us out with their best old hound dog howl. Now, you're a Valley dude. There's a lot of dogs around there.
Yeah, I got two right on the other side of the door.
There you go. So go ahead, pick your howl, and give us your best one here.
Okay, here we go. Ow!
All right. That was a good one. That was very good. Man, that was great. Rennie, thanks again for being our guest. This has been really informative, and I think that you shared a lot of great resources too that people can follow after. And if they decide to, pick up some of your book or some of the resources that you have out there, I guess they can also know that it's going to go to a good cause, which is awesome that you're doing that. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me on the show. It's absolutely my pleasure. I just enjoy you.
Same here. And also want to thank all our old dog listeners out there, too, just for joining us. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, but the fact that you've taken the time to join us means a lot, and we greatly appreciate it. Please note everything we talked about here. Okay, there's going to be extensive notes in our show notes section that you can reference to recap some of the things he said. So if you say, "Oh, darn, what did he say about that?" Don't worry about it. It's in the show notes, and you can access that at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog. You're just going to look for the episode that features Rennie Gabriel. Well, that's the show for today. Remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Until next time, keep moving forward and may God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.